Well, hello. Thanks for coming to my very first solo flight. I have a great passion for legal drama. It can be boring, it can be dull, but I love it because there is always something going on with celebrity cases, famous criminal cases, just the absurd, the ridiculous. When you get to unpack it to what's going on that you see in social media, and then you get down into the actual nuts and bolts of it and see the precedents that they're setting and the absolutely sometimes bollocks and just dumb fuckery of it all. It's quite entertaining. And I will admit to having many a cup of coffee in the morning, reading these legal briefs and laughing my ass off or getting fascinated. So I want to share some of that with you. There's quite a few popular cases out there that I've been following for quite a while. You all might know that these cases go on for years. Take, for instance, the first one I want to talk about, Depp Heard. Bit of a quagmire. Feel what you want. You know, everyone's entitled to their opinion. My previous videos in regards to the Depp Heard case have been quite direct in my feeling that it's atrocious to hijack a movement for a divorce case and to slander someone you just want to be away from. I kind of feel like that's what happened to Depp. I really do. I kind of side on the legal proceedings with Johnny Depp. I followed the legal proceedings against the Sun after she did the statement, which didn't mention his name, but clearly outlined him as a wife beater and an abuser, that he lost many a movie contract because of it. And because of that statement and her accusations in the UK court, the judge clearly sided with the Sun newspaper, stating that, you know, if that accusation was out there, then clearly the Sun could mention it, publicize it. They didn't need any proof to talk about it. And so he got ripped apart over there in that newspaper, and he was not able to get them to do a retraction and or have any recourse to get them to take it back, even after appeal, because it's very strict over in UK law for that. That happened in 2020, if y'all were following. But the recent updates are rather interesting. If you've been following some of what you see in the papers or on social media, probably on Twitter or Instagram, YouTube videos, Amber Heard's been getting a lot of heat. Many people are coming out of the woodwork saying that she continuously lies, exaggerates, and does whatever she needs to do to kind of get her way. Basically, what I thought from the beginning, kind of acting like an entitled brat. But hey, that's just my opinion. You know, just a bear talking. Allegedly, you know, it is a legal case. I make no legal advice or opinion here. This is all speculation, just my passion, just what I like to check out. And, you know, it's kind of unfair that she got to do this, got called out for it. She didn't lose her contract. She's still on Aquaman. She's got support. The same damn studios are supporting her, even though many of the organizations have backed away publicly that she donates to and etc. But the studios, because they can make money with her, are backing her because it looks wrong to back the man. And I don't think that's fair. I mean, there are bad men out there. Yeah, there are. Slam them, torture them, do what you need to do. But not people you don't know for. You can't just do it to them without having evidence. And I think that's what's happening with Johnny Depp, because everything I see as far as evidence out there, many videos, many statements, the legal documents themselves are pointing to fabrication of evidence. And that brings me to the update, because I want to spend a little more time on Valo. So I want to get right to the nuts and bolts of the Depp update, is that the court has ordered that her electronic devices have to be turned over now. There is speculation from Johnny Depp's attorneys that the photos way back that got a temporary restraining order on him that were produced have been altered, because the photos were produced as evidence. However, that same day that this incident occurred, there were police in her house immediately after the incident. They called them there. She had friends there. There's a whole staged kind of routine from what it reads like. And the pictures were produced after. But the two officers who showed up did not see any evidence of anything that would pertain to those bruises and those markings on her face. There were no marks on her face at the time. There was nothing going on. Okay. They didn't see anything, and they're actually saying that what the pictures produce is not what they came and saw physically themselves, and it's not in their report. Okay, now they're going to be giving testimony, video testimony, and depositions at the end of this month. That's Officer Gatelin and Officer Denier. They're going to be testifying for Amber Heard's attorneys first in deposition as to why they believe that. I find it hard to believe that they would pick one star over the other and just pretend marks and bruises and things didn't exist when they showed up, especially if there's going to be photographic evidence. Everybody knows. Everybody's got a phone. I mean, why would an officer attempt to defraud the court knowing that every single person in that room at the time has a phone and could take a picture of a bruise to document what was happening? It just doesn't seem like anyone with common sense would do that, especially not an officer of the court. I would hope, and I'm not going to say it doesn't happen, but I would hope that it doesn't, not often. So, those depositions are going to come out, but this is a win for Johnny Depp in an often tenacious, and this is a ridiculous case. Every time they go to state something, back and forth they go. We are in the hundreds in a very public case. And it just goes tit for tat, back and forth, and there's absolutely no movement. We're not even supposed to go to trial till sometime in 2021 with this. It is a $50 million defamation case, and Depp is suing her after their divorce, basically for ruining his career, for coming out and calling him a wife beater, and making allegations, having him lose all these contracts, going behind the scenes to studio execs, et cetera, is yeah, Peter, I'm saying that this is a movement. This is a Kyle type movement. We could call it the Kyle. Yeah, she pulled the Kyle. That's a good way to put it. The altering of evidence to try to back into a narrative. Yeah, but she's going to get called on it. But here's the problem with that. It's a year or so ago. So what's to say that any of that evidence is still on her phone? I mean, if I was Amber Heard, I wouldn't leave it on my phone, would you? I mean, it wouldn't be there. I'd have a new phone. I'd have a new everything. Like, if I falsified evidence, I think I'd be clever enough to not make it look like I falsified the evidence. I mean, you want it to work. It's evidence, right? You don't want anyone coming in and doing anything against you about it. So she's either just not very clever or she has already cleared it all off there. But they're going to try to figure it out. Either way, the testimony of the officers, in my opinion, is going to have some weight, because they didn't see it. And they are officers of the court. And the other opposing witnesses are her friends, and who are on statement as not liking Johnny Depp at all. Like, repeatedly, quotes, statements, testimony, everywhere, that they're just no friends of his. So that's a little jaded too, Other news on that case is that two people are also going to be giving testimony, and subpoenas have been issued for Elon Musk and Franco. And Johnny Depp has accused James Franco of having an affair with Amber Heard during this whole thing, and that his actual communications with her during the time can prove she was setting him up. That is what he's hoping for. Of course, James Franco, the Spider-Man actor, and is not Spider-Man one of the coolest superheroes? I mean, come on. He's pretty cool. The Spider-Man actor and the Tesla CEO, they were subpoenaed in October on the 26th, and they need to produce all books, records, electronically stored information, tangible, anything designated and described, including any verbal, telephone calls, letters, emails, anything to do with Amber Heard. All of it. Like, they want all of it. If Amber Heard touched it, they want it. If Amber Heard had anything to do with it, they want it. Like, this is a very large subpoena as far as what they want. It's not limited at all. Depositions for Musk will be in January on the 24th, and Franco is scheduled to be deposed on the 26th. hopefully they'll get some truth there, because what's happening is all these little bits and pieces are coming out. That's a lot of the stuff that Amber Heard has said was fabricated, not only just the evidence. When Amber Heard said that she was going to donate all her money from her statements in the article that she did with the Me Too movement to the organization that was specified, she did not. She clearly used that in the court case against Johnny Depp over there at the Sun, and it was not true. That's been debunked after he lost his case, but he has no recourse for appeal over there in the UK. There's nothing he could do about that now, which is probably why he's really going gung-ho, tit for tat here in the United States with this defamation case. And I can't blame him. In Johnny Depp's own words, he says he will fight to the death to prove that he is not the one. He said, ultimately, the truth will come out in all of this, and I will be standing on the right side of the roaring rapids. I hope other people will be too. I will never stop fighting. I will never stop. They'd have to fucking shoot me. And I don't blame you, because it's not, nobody likes to be wrongly accused of anything. And he's lost a lot. But, hello, Belinda. Hello, Hoot. Thank you. Always, thank you for joining us. Raven, yeah. You're right. We don't know what goes on in their home. This is true. He does have an addiction problem. That is also true. But he's never denied it. He's never denied having anger. But there is actual videos of her beating on him. There is actual phone calls of her instigating. And I mean, I don't mean instigating to the point where he did anything. I just mean instigating arguments, being very foul, not having very innocent type behavior. I am not saying that nothing happened. I am of the belief that whatever happened together, and is not to the extent that she is saying. It is not to that extent. And I hate to say that, because, you know, somebody's going to come along and say that I'm victim shaming or whatever. And I'm not. I'm looking at legal documents, and I don't see her I see everything she's coming up with getting debunked. I see everything that she has been presenting getting torn apart, and rightly so, because it is false or altered or not a true statement. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So I'm talking legally. I don't really want to. It's hard to say. I will admit to clearly in this case being on the side of Johnny Depp currently, from what I've read. I want to see her actually have to prove it, because I don't think someone on a word should be slandered on a what if, or it could be. Yes, you should be protected. I believe absolutely with everything that the Me Too movement has done great things as far as making sure that if there is any doubt that anything like that is going on, a woman or a man can be protected with a restraining order right away, and no facts have to be given. Just there should just be the hint of it. You should be protected. But whether or not you can actually slander, hurt, and violate, lock them up for it without evidence is a whole nother story. And that's where I'm drawing my line. That's where I think the common sense line needs to be. So I hope that's clear. But if they want to come for me, you know, thinking that that's what I'm doing, fine. I do think more needs to be shown before we can, you know, lock Johnny Depp up as this and label him as that. I think women and any abuse victim or claimed abuse victim should be protected immediately under the what if, especially children, women, and the vulnerable. Okay. Hoot 3 says one of her bruises was on the left side of her face, then suddenly moved to the right. And I saw that in pics a while back. Yes, you did, because she went to a premiere the very next day in full makeup, beautiful. And it is actually accused that those pictures were taken prior to that premiere, done by the same makeup artist that got her done for the premiere. There are actually some statements made by that makeup artist that would indicate so. And this is the kind of stuff that I'm talking about. Yep. Raven says, I can't help but go back to their initial reaction when they were caught bringing their dogs into Australia. Yes, they both were. They were wrong. This was terrible. Like, you know, they just thought they could, like, that was awful. You cannot go against the rules and the regulations there. Like that whole thing upset me, Raven. That whole thing with the dogs was just like out of control. I totally believe. Belinda says, I think she's full of shit, to be honest. Sorry, not sorry. You know, I have seen some of her stuff get debunked into the shit. Yes, Belinda, I've seen it. It actually got debunked right into the shit. So I can understand how you feel that way. Always, I feel that there may have been wrongdoing by both parties, but she seems to have a victim avenger personality. I'm with you there always. You're always very, the word, I call you always because you always are very thoughtful about these stuff. You kind of looking at it pretty straight on there. There could be wrong on both parties. I mean, marriage is tough. And if you're having a lot of stuff like that, I mean, you know, you got two strong personalities. They're movie stars. There's a little bit of attention-seeking, narcissistic, you know, me shit going on anyway. They're movie stars. And that doesn't mean that all movie stars are like, you know, like that. But, you know, they have to be a little focused on themselves to do what they do. Yeah. So you get into a marriage and then things start going wrong. And then, boom, whatever little problems you have are now big problems. So if you have a little bit of anger or you have a little bit of a drama seeking attention thing, this is just a bad combination. And it does look like that was going on. They had a very volatile relationship the whole time. If you read the Sun court documents, which I have read every document and the testimony, and it was released over there in the UK a while back. That read like a Bad Marriage 101, like a Lifetime movie. It was just awful. He did this, and then she did that, and then he did this, and then she did that, and it's a shame that all has to be put out in public. It's the kind of stuff you would want if it was you to keep private, because no one looks good in this situation. No one does. But we focus on the legal part of it and what you can legally do to another person. And you know, you don't like the way your marriage ended. You don't like when somebody walks away. Fine. How much responsibility do you have for your own behavior and how you feel when you want to make that person hurt? That bad. That's where I am with it. It does look a bit like revenge. I kind of agree with you always. It's not a good thing. To be fair, the Australian government were ridiculous about the dog situation. They handled it very badly. Yes and no. I don't. You know what? I agree and I don't. And here is why. I agree that, you know, when you look at just the statements they made and what they did about it, yeah, it does look a little aggressive. But here's the thing. As a government, if somebody comes in here from another country and just totally disregards your laws, is like giving you the middle finger, like we don't have to do what you want, like I kind of would expect to get a lot of pushback for that. I'd get a little pissed off too. I think I would. You know, you don't just get to do that. And it seemed like there was, from what I saw, there was actually, they showed that somebody from either Amber Heard's personal assistant or Johnny Depp's team, one of them checked out the rules and regulations about the dog ahead of time, and then they just didn't do it. They knew what needed to be done, and they just didn't do it. And so that was flagrant, and I don't really blame the government for being a little pissed off. Yeah, they were a little aggressive about it, you know. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. They do have a sensitive, they do have it for a reason. Okay. Peter, the fact that the dog story would suggest that she was willing to manipulate Johnny to get her own way, even if it was meaning to break the law, says a lot about their relationship and the situation. Yes, you do. Yeah. You know, Peter, you might be onto something there. That happens repeatedly in this story. He backs off because he knows like it's going to just not be worth it to fight. And you hear him in conversations that were submitted to the court over and over again, just like, okay, Amber, and backing off, and like, whatever, Amber, and okay, backing off, while she is being the aggressor. It seems she had a strong personality, and yet out here in public, when she was making her statements, she is all the kitten, you know. Protect me. I'm so weak. This big bad man did this. And as a woman of some strength and character, and just thinking that movement should not be hijacked strongly, I think that I get offended. I get offended when you play both sides like that and manipulate to get to your way. It gives us all a bad name. I don't know about the rest of you ladies, but I think it gives us all a bad name. Thank you so much. Hi, Jen. Thank you for being here. Oh my God. So, they need to set an example. They already released a public statement stating how their victims in Australia is wrong. Oh, see, they are not victims in this. I don't think they're victims. Raven, do you? Do you? I'm trying to see what side you're on, and I'm not picking on you. Actually, I'm just trying to understand, because I understand Belinda thinks that they acted a little strong, the government. Okay. And all of that, making a public apology and all was bullshit. And then they're saying they're victims. I don't know. I think they knew what the law was ahead of time and they just didn't do it. I agree with Peter that Johnny Depp kind of got manipulated in there because Amber had the information and just wanted to do what she wanted to do. And I think maybe in this case, everybody, if this was an AITA, I'd be saying everybody's an arsehole, because like the government kind of went too far, and then, but they do have reasons. I mean, they have these laws for a reason. They have these laws for a reason, and they put them for the reason. So obviously they want people to obey them, and they are offended by someone. I see. Okay, so it's like, no, I don't. It's in response to Belinda about them having to make an apology that after they released the statement on their own. Okay, I get it. Okay, yeah. And you know what? Yeah, Jen, I'm with you. Do you remember? Okay, I'm going to date myself a little bit. I will admit I only watched reruns. I was not watching this when it came out as a series. But does anybody remember 21 Jump Street? Oh my God, that's when I first discovered the fine Mr. Depp. And I'm not just sticking up for him legally because I had a crush on him, because, that just wouldn't be right. Although, it does help if I have to look at all these pictures of him all the time in these articles that I'm reading. Like, yeah, you're right, Raven. He was too pretty. I kind of grew out of it, like once I wasn't a teenager anymore, because he was like too pretty. Well, he's getting a little more rugged in his old age. He makes an attractive older man, but he was very baby faced in 21 Jump Street. Oh, Raven, you watched it as it aired. You're braver than I am. I watched the reruns. I mean, I didn't get to watch it while it aired, but I did see it a year or two later. Always grateful. In my opinion, she does not seem to possess the capacity of self-reflection and or humility, which inhibits her ability to have normal interactions. This is true. She does seem to have quite the social disorder. She has, here's the thing. She is accusing Johnny Depp of being all of these things, and the only one, I don't know if you're aware of this in the chat, the only one who actually has criminal charges for beating another person on file is Amber Heard in an airport against a girlfriend who they were having a contentious breakup, who there's a long string of people giving testimony of the contentious breakups that they've had with Amber Heard while she was with multiple people. Just not loyal, socially attention grabbing, things like this. But she's the one with the record, not Johnny Depp. Now, he admits to anger issues. He admits to addiction. He admits to going in and out of rehab. He is trying to admit to not being the perfect person all the time. And I give him more credit for that. If you're going to be, we are all damaged individuals. I don't care who the hell you are out there. To think that you are right about everything 100% of the time, it's just not like that. We all make mistakes. We all try to do our best, but we make mistakes. We make errors. We fuck up regularly. The difference is, are you going to own it and do better? Are you going to admit it, explain it, carry on? Or are you going to do like Amber Heard and just cry, why, whinge, me, and say it's all their fault? I mean, that's the difference. That's why I'm on the side of Johnny Depp. I mean, he's not perfect. He's bullshit. But, he owns it, and I got to give even the biggest asshole in the world credit if they own it. At least it's real. And I know everybody hates that word, but to me, I'm an old dog. What can I say? Real is the word I grew up with. That's what it is. Yeah, I don't know. But on that, if you don't have any more questions about Johnny Depp, I'm going to move on to the hot mess that is the Vallow Daybell case. Right after this comment from the Nethermore, thank you for being here, Jay. But I hate you for what you said before. Damn well making me laugh and spit my coffee all over the stream right before I go live. God, that's what I love about you guys. You're all assholes, all of you. I always thought Peter DeLuise was better actor in that show. You know what? I do like Peter DeLuise. He was a real actor and genuine, and he was kind of adorable. He was one of my favorites, actually. You know, I actually agree with you there. I still think he's a fantastic. Welcome, Real Entertainment News. Nice to have you here. I hope you enjoy my very first solo. This is not easy. I hope you can all tell how nervous I am. I'm literally sweating bullets. I'm actually, struggling a little here. I'll admit it, but that's me. Now, I'm going to ask, is this a dumb question? Does anybody know anything about the Vallow Daybell case? Or do you want me to go all the way and give you a timeline from the beginning? But basically, I don't want to give you guys a rundown that you don't need. What else? Basically, it is about two children that went missing. They weren't even reported by their parents. Is gone. It is about multiple deaths that happened during the course of looking for these children and after everyone involved in the case. So for some of you, especially for my dear Australian friends who are here that may not know about this horrible case here in the United States, I'll give you really brief because, we have a half hour we can do. It is a heartbreaking story, Mrs. Cassandra. So I'm just going to give you guys a little brief. Okay. Lori Daybell and Chad Daybell are being accused of murdering Lori Vallow's children, Ty Lee Ryan and JJ Vallow, who vanished way back in September of 2019. In 2006, Lori married a businessman named Charles Vallow. It appeared to be a happy marriage. Lori's had Ty Lee from a previous marriage, and they were raising her together. They then adopted the young boy, JJ. He was the grandson of Charles's sister. JJ suffered from autism. And Lori's friend says that, and all in all, it looked as if they were being very patient with him. And they soon moved on to Arizona. And Ty Lee embraced her role as a big sister, and they were referred to as a very happy family. But in 2017, the family dynamics have changed. Lori's relationship with her children changed. She started reading books about doomsday by the author, Chad Daybell. And if you want to check out some religious, crazy cult stuff, Jay, check out Daybell's books. It might be something. He wrote several fiction books preparing for the end of the world, and he lived in Idaho. In 2018, Lori Vallow actually met Chad Daybell, and this is where it gets crazy. Daybell was also married, and he and his wife Tammy were raising 5 children. According to friends of Lori, soon after meeting Chad and developing a relationship where they were talking on a regular basis, in their bond of this doomsday religious opinion, they were saying that the children and people were being possessed by dark spirits, and they were calling them zombies. They are actually quoting Lori Vallow as calling the children zombies right prior to their disappearance. In 2019, Charles Vallow became very worried about Lori, and he went to the police with concerns and told the police that Lori believed she was a god and she was preparing for the end of days, and that she was threatening to murder him to release him from his dark spirits. In February of 2019, of course, Charles Vallow, I would too, sorry, Charles, filed from divorce. In the court documents, Charles expressed that, he feared for his own and those children's safety. He definitely petitioned the court that there was something definitely wrong here. In July, Charles Vallow went to the house where Lori Vallow was living with the children in Arizona. He was supposed to drop off JJ to school, but when he went inside, he was shot dead by Lori's brother, Alex Cox. Cox told the police that Lori and Charles had gotten into a fight, and Alex claimed he was protecting his sister. Lori and Ty Lee, who both say they heard the shooting, told similar stories of self-defense. Remember Ty Lee is the daughter, the younger. September 2019, Lori moved closer to Chad Daybell, and she relocated her kids to Idaho. And Lori and Alex, during this time, moved into the same apartment complex in September. Ty Lee vanishes on September 8th, the daughter. Vanished when they went to Yellowstone National Park. Police say that's the last known photo of Ty Lee, as she was taken before she vanished. One of Lori's friends said that Lori was referring to Ty Lee as a zombie the day before. The morning after Ty Lee disappeared, investigators said that Alex Cox got cell phone GPS that placed him in Chad Daybell's backyard on the property for more than 2 hours. Daybell had texted his wife something along the lines of, during that 2 hours, "I spotted a big raccoon along the fence. I hurried and got my gun, and he was still walking along. I got close enough, that one shot did the trick, and he is now in the pet cemetery." Very disturbing. On September 22nd, JJ Valo is reported missing because no one sees him. No one has seen him since when Ty Lee disappeared. Alex Cox saw them carrying JJ into Lori's apartment. But the next morning, according to a boyfriend of Melanie Gibb, who is a friend of Lori, according to him, the next morning, he asked to see JJ, and both Lori and Alex said that he was being a zombie and that no one could see him and that Cox needed to take him away for a little while. On the 23rd of September in 2019, the day after JJ was last seen, investigators say Alex Cox's cell phone showed that Cox returned to Chad Daybell's backyard again for about 17 or 18 minutes. This is all documented in the arrest warrants and in the preceding preliminary documentation for the court case. This is true. I'm going to put this up. Jay, thank you. They were originally members of the Church of Latter-day Saints. And Davros, yeah, why don't they understand that dark spirits get stronger if you murder the host? I mean, it's a doomsday cult, I know. But, these cults, they don't make any sense whatsoever. It's like, all right. So but now we get to October, and there's another death. With Lori Vallow's children unknown where they are missing. Tragedy struck Chad Daybell's family because his wife died. The couple's son, Garth, said that Tammy died in bed and that he and Chad called 911. The Daybell children told 48 Hours that they declined an autopsy. They say the coroner told them Tammy's death appeared to be of natural causes. They believed that because they say their mom was ill health prior to her death. Roughly 2 weeks later, Vallow and Daybell got married on a beach in Hawaii. Surprise, surprise. Later that month, Kay Woodcock, JJ's grandmother, asked the police to please check on JJ's whereabouts, that she had not heard from them or him in quite some time. Roxbury's police went to Lori's house looking for JJ, and again Lori lied to them, claiming that JJ was safe and staying in Arizona with her friend, Melanie Gibb. You know, Melanie Gibb, the one that keeps telling us that Lori keeps calling the children zombies and talking about dark spirits and is actually fearful for the children. Gibb wasn't forthcoming about where JJ was, but later called police and told them JJ was not with her and does not understand why Lori said so. While the Rexburg police attempted to locate JJ, investigators soon realized that his sister was also missing, still missing. And now they've launched, in November of that year of 2019, a nationwide search for the children. In December, while the investigators are searching for the children, Lori and Chad Daybell traveled back to Hawaii. Okay. Fremont County sheriffs, that's in Idaho, investigators, they then grew suspicious about Tammy Daybell's, the wife of Chad's, death. They exhumed the body to conduct an autopsy. That same month, Lori's brother, Alex Cox, died in Arizona. You know, the one that had shot Lori's husband? He's now dead too. It was determined he died, though, of natural causes. Authorities in January 25th of 2020 finally served Lori Vallow Daybell an order requiring her to produce her children or be in contempt of court in violation of the order. After failing to comply on February 20, Lori was arrested in Hawaii. 2 weeks later, she was extradited back to Idaho. June 9th, we traveled to. They search Chad Daybell's backyard. Even after Lori was arrested and everything's coming to a head, they refused to say where the children were. Neither Lori nor Chad Daybell would say anything about the location of JJ and Tylee. Rexburg Police and Fremont County Sheriff's Office, along with the FBI, descended upon Chad Daybell's home on June 9th. They dug in the areas of the backyard where Alex Cox's cell phone had been pinged to back in September of 2019. And tragically, they uncovered the human remains buried in shallow groves. That's the tragedy part. This is where all of these charges are going to come forth. Okay. It is unfortunate, the loss of the children and the manner to which they were disposed. When they dug up the graves and the supposed pet cemetery that Chad Daybell texted his wife Tammy about, there was no raccoon. The reason I read you that quote that he texted to his wife was because of this part of the evidence. There's not a raccoon buried on that property anywhere, and they did try to find it because they do believe that Chad Daybell was talking about one of the children when he sent that message to his wife. In the end of June, authorities confirmed and identified the remains of J.J. Valo and Tylee Ryan, and a memorial was built along the Daybell's fence to honor those victims. In May of 2021, almost a full year later, and it takes that long, and this is what I have a problem with. I know we have to be thorough, but here we are, two monsters walking the planet for another year while evidence is being gathered against them, just to finally arrest them. They were charged with first-degree murder for the deaths of JJ and Tylee. Chad Daybell was also charged with murdering his first wife, Tammy Daybell, after the results of the autopsy were disclosed. Of course, in June, Chad Daybell pled not guilty to all of those charges. Also in June, Lori Vallow's case went on hold because of she's charged with conspiring to murder Charles, her first husband, and also in the deaths of the children. But she has been told, she has been listed as incompetent by the judge, and she will not be standing trial until she receives mental health treatment. She has not yet entered a plea because she's not competent to do so. So her case, her part of the case is currently on hold. Okay. And in August of this year, prosecutors announced they'll seek the death penalty against Chad Daybell. Now, in September, these are where the updates are all going to come in. In September, Chad and Tammy's children came out and started publicly speaking for the first time. And they told 48 Hours they believe their father is innocent. And they say that Chad was framed by Alex Cox, the conveniently dead Alex Cox, and Lori Vallow Daybell, who cannot be prosecuted because of her mental illness at this time. But that's rather convenient, in my opinion. But we'll see where that goes. All right. So this case is obviously, that's the case up to date besides the updates. I hope it wasn't too much for you. But hey, if you didn't know anything about it, you should know a lot now because that's the timeline and the facts as best as I could put them together for you briefly. There is so much more in all of those statements. I could have made another 20 for each one. There's so much more to talk about. The new updates are quite tantalizing legally. Now, it takes a while because now after reading that, I'm a little emotional about what this case is about. The horribleness of the case itself on what happened to those children takes me back every time. It is hard to think clearly about these defendants in any way when something that horrific happens. These are children. They are innocent. They don't care if they're acting like zombies and monsters. Don't they all sometimes? They did not deserve to die. They should not die for this. Put them someplace else, give them away, give them up, get away from them. But to take their lives, it's horrible. Whoever did it. And I think it was more than likely it was these two, based on their twisted religious belief in the doomsday theory, But anyway, here come the twist. Peter, you're right, because not only is that horrible, it gets better. I mean, not better, but more twisty, more bizarre, okay, as to speak. The case is drawing nationwide attention, like I said, and especially in Eastern Idaho. So because of that, the judge has now granted Chad Daybell's murder trial a change of venue because he's getting some hate. I mean, and rightly so, in Fremont, where he is. The charges against him in not only for the children, but his wife. Remember, he's now going up for murder with the death penalty because of his wife's death also. Judge Stephen Boyce had issued in the month of October, towards the end of October, that Daybell's defense attorney's motion for a change of venue would be granted, and he suggested that the trial is going to be moved over to Ada County with an Ada County jury. He also recommended that they continue to preside over the case rather than have it transferred to another district judge, only because of the length and all of the stuff that's been submitted already. That is probably a good idea, in my humble opinion, to keep that judge who's already seen everything, because if you change the judge in the middle of it, like, you don't actually know the ins and outs and how things happened and why this got filed, why that got filed, and all the great details. I do think the judge should go over to the other county, and they're allowed to do that if they want, and I hope that goes through. They could keep the same jury, but, of course, Daybell's attorney does not want that. So they're going to be getting a brand new grand jury to look at the evidence before this even goes to trial. Prosecutors in August filed notice of intent to seek that death penalty, like I told you, and that was granted. They are definitely going to go for the death penalty. And because Lori's still on hold at that time, that could not be addressed. It took months to get that done, but that is now done. Okay. The media coverage has been great. Every time anything happens with the court, there are many people out there, including JJ's grandmother, who often is out there screaming liar, liar, liar every time anything happens out there, and I can't blame her. She gets a lot of visual press. There's a lot of recordings of her out there. Prosecution has filed a motion to sequester the jury so that they are not tortured by the members of the church. Because here's the other thing. We have a whole doomsday church after everybody involved in this case. They are actually trying to get in contact with the witnesses. They are out there in front trying to get anybody who wants to come see about the case or anything with the trial. They are out there in numbers trying to take care of this. But on the other hand, some other churches that Chad Daybell belonged to have disowned him. They have actually said that he has nothing to do with them anymore because of all of this. And they have actually stripped him of his vespis. What do you call your religious belonging to any organization like this? When it comes to the Doomsday Church, I don't know what they call it, but they're actually trying to kick him. Problem is that until we get a transcript of the statements from both, we really can't tell what's going on between the two. It's true. Raven, I remember Lori was able to allot that other people under investigation wouldn't have been able to. Keep the judge. Yeah, I agree. That was really strange. Both X is dead, and the brother who killed his sister X dies from natural causes. It's all bizarre. Exactly. It's like a weird, like one of those great movies that you just can't stop watching. It just keeps going. Only this is a terrible life tragedy. Being what I said, I don't believe Valo is innocent. I believe he killed JJ, but not sure about the daughter. True. You know, you got something there. We're never going to know who did what. I just know they both are involved up to their eyeballs. Sadly, I knew once it was known execs were killed, those kids weren't going to be found alive. I hoped, but I knew. Yeah, as soon as people started dropping Mrs. Cassandra, that was the popular opinion out there at the time. So we all know that the Sixth Amendment of the Constitution grants that, especially the one in Idaho, it grants that the criminal defendants right to a fair trial and an impartial jury. And Title V of the Idaho criminal rules outline the grounds for charging of a trial venue. Okay, in that ruling by Judge Voice, he said, the court, referring to himself, has always found the citizens of Fremont County to be fair, attentive, and dedicated jurors when called upon to fulfill that critically important civic duty. The court has no doubt that absence the extraordinary circumstances presented here, Fremont County would be an ideal location for this trial and an ideal jury pool to select triers of fact to determine this case. However, this is no ordinary case, so I cannot allow that to happen. We're moving the case. So thank you for being reasonable, Judge. Just stay on there because you have a good head on your shoulders. I hope you go with it. Okay. In August, it is noted that Chad Daybell waived his right to a speedy trial, allowing it to be postponed again for another period exceeding 6 months from the date he was charged. Because although it took us a year to actually charge them with murder, because we wanted to get all the, they want to, I understand why it takes so long, because you got to dot every I and cross every T. And the way defendants come, the defending attorneys come at these things now, they look for every little tiny mistake, and somebody who is absolutely all the other evidence says, bam, you're guilty as anything. We have seen things get overturned for mistakes. We see it every day in America. It is often a travesty, but it is put that way so innocent people don't go to jail. And I understand the reason for it, but it does make it so much longer before we actually get charges, and that people that have done great harm are out walking around longer than they should be. And then we give them the right to a speedy trial, where once we tell you you're guilty of something, we're supposed to have you in there defending yourself within 6 months or whatever, unless you waive the right or something extraordinary happens. So, it's kind of, to me, that's kind of like a double-edged sword. You want the good, you want everybody to be protected as innocent, but, when it's a little frustrating in a case like this. Okay, so now we come to Valo. She's been declared incompetent a few months way back in the late spring, early summer. She was declared incompetent after being arrested, that she couldn't stand trial. Now, what really is key to this case is that she doesn't get to have a insanity defense. It doesn't exist in Idaho. There you go. So all she's doing is delaying and delaying and delaying, because they will keep reviewing her mental health status, and she will keep getting treatment for that mental health over and over again. And as soon as anybody gets a whiff that she's competent, she will stand trial. She does not get to go to court and just say she couldn't have done it because she's insane. That doesn't happen in this state. That made me happy. I don't know about you guys, but that kind of made me happy because that means she'll never be free. She will either face these charges to get free or stay where she is. You know, granted, it's a little more comfortable, I think, there than jail, but she should have some penalty for this. She must have some price to pay for this. She needs to face the charges. If she's innocent, she needs to be declared innocent. A case thrown out because of a screw up doesn't make it go away. It means they start over and things get thrown out automatically. Yes, they do. Unless, of course, like some things like real things like the stuff that happened with Crosby. And I'll just bring that one up as an example, because in that case, it wasn't to their benefit to retry because the evidence was so completely tainted by what had happened. They couldn't. So, you know, it depends. You're right, though. It doesn't automatically mean you're free forever and, you know, that they get to walk. That would be a misstatement on my part, not what I intended it to mean. Just that it does make you have to start all over again. And then at that time, prosecution, you know, the district attorney, they get to decide. The state district attorney or the district attorney, even federal cases, they get to decide if it's worth it. And sometimes it's just not. Sometimes, depending on what evidence got thrown out and what the error is, they don't pursue it. And so then, yeah, those people end up walking, you know. Either way, it does make it much more difficult, and that is why they're taking a lot longer to actually do these charges. Another case that I'm following, the Morphu case, it took a year. His wife is missing too. It took a year to charge him for that. And they have him 149-page arrest warrant. Yeet! When I get on that one with you guys, that's juicy. You would not believe what's going on in that, or even in the arrest warrant, 149 pages of evidence. It's immaculate. It is like dotting the I's and crossing the T's to perfection. Okay. Tarnished 925 says, was the fact that Daybell used to be a gravedigger mentioned? And that's part of the reason why it was so difficult to find the kids. That I have seen that mentioned in articles and in some things, and because of the depth of the grave and what was put there, yeah. It could be, although they did have, you know, because of everything with Alex Cox and the shooting of Charles Vallow, they did have his phones and all. And so they knew that Daybell may be complicit because there was a lot of activity of Alex Cox over in Chad Daybell's backyard. So they kind of had some focus and direction to go to, but they didn't make a big point of that. But I'm sure that's going to come up in the trial, and we can watch for that, you know. Okay, so just when you thought it couldn't get any crazier, like we're not even at trial yet, right? This is just all out in the public. This is just the pieces that come up. Recently, it was discovered that an employee of the mental hospital got Lori Daybell on the phone with a religious cult lawyer as some type of homework, and may have just messed up the whole damn thing against Valo at this point. There's a lot of speculation as to whether they were trying to get her legal advice or she was trying to underhandedly talk to somebody about this, that, or the other thing. So now Chad Daybell's lawyers are involved, and there are more motions going to the court to try to remove people and to try to find out what happened there. Apparently, the person that she talked to, Daniel McConkey, is an attorney with the church's law firm, the church being the, I guess they say the Church of Latter-day Saints that Jay mentioned. It is that church. And they are now accusing that somehow or other the church or that lawyer or even the employee of the mental health, the mental hospital, are somehow trying to coerce Lori Vallow in some way. So until they get that all sorted out, we're not really sure who did what, except for that. That McConkey is heard to have bragged to Vallow that his more than 30 years of prosecutor experience can make disclosure she would not have without assurances, and that he was coaching her in some way about not making statements. There are certain key words that he was saying that they are bringing up that would kind of go towards legal advice, which in this case, since he's not her lawyer, would not be appropriate. And either way, the mental health worker who says this was homework to talk to the lawyer from the Church of the Latter-day Saints, I don't understand how that's considered homework. Like there's a lot of mess here. This is messy. This is going to all get straightened out back and forth. I figure this is going to add months before we find out what's going on back and forth between the prosecutor and the defendant's attorneys with the judge. And I think that we should all just be sending the judge some Tylenol or some ibuprofen at this time, because he's going to have one hell of a headache over this one for the next couple of months. This is not going to be pretty at all. It's just all kinds of messy. And I don't know how anything like this can happen. An attorney for the Ethics Advisory Committee, Opinion Committee, said that, that attorney, McConkie, could face questions about ethical concerns due to a conflict of interest. I mean, he is not her attorney. They do feel it's unusual. They do feel that the whole thing, that a state hospital employee could encourage a phone call like that. Why would they do that? Are they feeling that there was some sort of therapeutic benefit to it? I mean, does anybody have an opinion about that? Because I can't see the therapeutic benefit of contacting the lawyer for the Latter-day Saints, except for, wanting a different lawyer, I don't know. Oh, hello, JC. I'm glad you were here. Well, that's my update. Oh, you have any questions now that I gave you the headache that the judge is going to have? I don't get a headache with this stuff. I find it fascinating, but I realize that talking straight at you an hour with all this legal jumbo mumbo may be a bit much. So feel free to give me opinion on whether you would like further updates like this, whether you want them to be one case of the time and maybe shorter, maybe only 30 minutes, because I understand an hour could be long and 2 cases could be a month. I do agree, Tarnish, this is throwing a big wrench into the gears, and if anything, it's going to stop the motion forward to the trial for a while. Belinda is thinking maybe that employee was paid some money. You think like me? Yeah, it does look a little sketch. I say sus, sketch. Yeah, it's looking a little bit like that. One of the reasons I'm following this is just the bizarre, I don't usually follow cases for their horrific nature. It is this stuff, the bizarre carrying ons between the lawyers and the defendants and everything and the judges, that this is what trips my trigger. This is what keeps me following in these cases for years and years. This going on back and forth. Raven says the church may have a thing about defending their own. That is very common. It's a very common, maybe Jay can help me out here. That's very common with cults. That is a very tribalistic mindset that occurs in all cultures. And I think religions, don't come for me, people, but religions by nature of the organization and belief, a common belief, and you all have to have the same mindset, is cultish. I'm not saying you're a cult. Don't come for me. I'm saying it's cultish, like ISH on the end of it, making kind of leaning towards that way, and falls under some of that. And yes, I would think that they would want representation that knows about their beliefs and what they do to better represent that defendant, that some of this stuff isn't crazy, it's what they truly believe. Because the statements that they're making, like, oh, she thought they were zombies, oh, they had dark spirits possessing them, oh, she had to kill them to release the dark spirits and set their souls free. These kind of statements are damaging. So, of course, the Latter-day Saints may want representation that can better explain those statements and beliefs to Lori's benefit and to save the church's representation. Nobody wants their church member up for murder and caught guilty. It's going to look bad on them, too. It could be self-protection at this moment. For all we know, the church paid that worker to put her on the phone. Who knows? That's speculation. Don't come for me, people. That is total speculation. This is all opinion, by the way. I'm not a lawyer. You know that, right? I'm a damn bear. I'm just a damn bear. I have sat and watched Emily D. Baker for hours, and I love the law stuff. Oh, good. So now it won't be too bad for you. I'm not as entertaining as Emily, and I don't have a law degree. This is just me and my coffee cup reading this shit and laughing my ass off. wondering and asking the questions and wondering if you want to know about it too. This is my passion. I hope I don't bore you with it, but this is the nerd side of me that I'm not ashamed of. I love this stuff. This stuff gets me going. This makes my brain start working on a different level every day. I read this stuff every day. It seemed much shorter than an hour. These types of cases fascinate me. Thank you, always. I have a feeling it's going to be me and you everywhere. Like, it's me and you with Black Mirror. It's me and you with this legal stuff. If you get on with Dexter, we got something going, girl, because I just got tripped up with Dexter last night. I'm back in on that crazy train, like totally with Dexter again. I tried to find why she was found incompetent to stand trial at this time, but the only thing I can find is she's not insane, just incompetent this time to understand the legal and defending her. Exactly, Jay, the research that I did, nothing, not a word about what the stance was or why he made. As a matter of fact, they sealed those records tighter than a drum. I can find nothing. I'm leaning towards the theory, and let me know what you think, Jake, because I think we're of the same mindset here about how this could be happening, is that because of her outrageous belief in the statements that she was making, she truly believes that stuff. They just thought she could not tell how those statements were actually going to be affecting her, that she was giving incriminating evidence without weighing it. Like, she was just not understanding that everything was going to be used against her and really standing behind these beliefs. There was also recently a video released of her giving an interview with her daughter a few days after her husband was shot. And the woman was giddy, laughing, flirting, carrying on, just speculative, as if the man was not dead. It was bizarre to watch the unfeeling, the coldness. I mean, she wasn't cold and stone and not caring like a killer. She was flippant, which would, to me, came off even worse. She was flippant, callous, like giving no regard whatsoever. It was very unsettling to watch. And I will be linking some of these research articles and videos down below after I'm done today. I wanted to make sure what I covered first before I linked everything, so I didn't confuse you. But later on, check out some of these articles. Hopefully you'll become as fascinated as me, and we'll have a place to hang out and talk about it. Tarnished 925 says, it could muddy the waters for the prosecution for that call or communication to have happened. Another way to help the defense and cover up a church member. Yes, but it could go against the defense if, because she's a church member, it was the church that interfered, and if there's any way the defense knew about it. If Lori talked to them about it or asked them if it would be okay, or if the hospital did in any way, if the defense knew about it at all, it's just as bad for them. Nobody wins in this situation, in my opinion. Mrs. Cassandra, she's living at the beach. I know I do. I don't live at the beach anymore, Reagan. I did move inland a little bit a few years ago, but I was raised there. And no, Mrs. Cassandra, I do not live in an Aussie basement. The Aussies will tell you there are very few basements. There are very few basements, and I don't live there. I'm not in Australia. Go back over the church involvement again. I missed what happened. The church involvement is that at the mental hospital, a worker made arrangements for Lori Vallow to call an attorney that represents the Church of the Latter-day Saints. That is the church's involvement in this quagmire part of the case. And also, I do believe that Chad Daybell has been excommunicated in some way from that church, but I have to check. I did see that he was excommunicated from a church. I'm not just sure it is the Latter-day Saints, but somebody disavowed him and threw him to the curb. That's like, I don't know, but from reading many cult survivor statements, it is possible she would incriminate herself without knowing, and that would be detriment to her defense. Exactly. That's kind of what I was saying, but with much more words and probably a little more confusing. Thank you for putting it concise. Why do drop bears scare me so much? Because drop bears are fucking scary, Reagan. Have you seen one? And because every room in my Discord, they're there, and and it's a thing. Idaho doesn't have an insanity defense from exactly. That's what I said, Jay. She's not going to get away with it. If they would find her guilty and put her in a mental hospital till she was found sane, then sent to prison. Exactly. She's not going to get off on it at all. She's actually just going to stay there under treatment, locked up until she can stand trial, for sure. And then if she can't go to regular prison because they still think she's a little off, she'll go to the mental hospital, but she'll never get out. Like and she have to serve the whole sentence. It's not going to be a way for her to say she didn't know what she was doing, like you can in some states here in the United States. Mrs. Cassandra, you just wish you had a place to stay. You know, you just have to. Oh, shit, Peter, you telling her about the secret basement? Shame on you. I've been disavowing it. I've been disavowing the basement exists. No, Mrs. Cassandra, I will share Peter. Peter, there's enough Peter to go around for everybody. He's a very lovable man. He's a good friend. Yeah, I would definitely share. But anyway, that's an hour, people. If you have any more questions or cases that you're interested in, I did put a poll up on the community tab. My DMs are always open. If you'd like to talk more about this, I'll be doing more. We're going to be covering more food. I'm still all up to my eyeballs about the civil cases against Marilyn Manson. And I still am following Daniel Masterson's rape allegations with Scientology. And I hate to use the R word, but it is what it is. Those are the allegations. No sense in hiding, you know. I have other things I'm looking at, an old case, something I might do, just bring you up to date about something that's already passed. And someone tossed Michael Peterson at me. And wow, I spent hours last night looking at that one. That was fun. Thank you to the person who recommended that, because that was quite the fascinating little trip. And it took my mind out of being so nervous. So nervous about this one. You guys made it easy for me. Thank you. I really appreciate you all being here. I hope I didn't bore you too much with it. If you have questions, come to me. Suggestions, anything, my DMs are open. And yes, please, if you like this kind of stuff, Jay and I, next Wednesday, not this Wednesday, next Wednesday on Heretical's channel, over there with my favorite Australian and American crew for the very early mornings, if you can make it. On Wednesdays, Jay and I will be doing the Nixium. I think I pronounced it that right. It's just a bunch of letters and numbers. The Nixium, Keith Rainier's old cult, and we're going to be unpacking that. And that's going to go quite a few weeks, because when we talk about hot messes and cults and legal quagmires, that's it. It has everything. It has everything. Except, I don't know. We have to look, right? Jay, I don't think there's any murder in there, actually. But it's going to be good. It's going to be good. So join us over there. And for the other things on my channel, I'm also joining Jamal's new channel. He's going to be doing some discussion commentary on anti-communities and stuff like that. And I think our first one is on Thursday or Friday. I'll be posting that up. We have an AIT coming up on Thursday. And of course, we have Mayhem on Saturday. And otherwise, I'll see you next Monday. If you don't all vote me off on the back of my community channel to not do this again. But I do want to hear from you. You know, because your opinions matter. If you don't want me to do it, just say so. I'll listen to you. You know, nobody wants to come out here if you don't want them. But on that, thank you all for being here. Let me put this all nice, new, shiny outro on and join you in the chat for a second.